Welcome to Mathematics, Addition with Common Denominator Fractions by Carlton Dunstan. Fractions, part of a whole. The bottom number, the denominator, says how many parts the whole is divided into. The top number, the numerator, says how many you have. For you see that I have this example of a pie chart cut into 5 different pieces. Each piece represents something that represents actually the whole of something, no matter whether it's a whole box of oranges or a whole box of different types of toys. The thing that they have in common is that they are fruit or they are toys, even though they're different. But right here, I have a pie chart that indicates separation of different pieces that make up a whole. As you see, I'm representing the green in this case. The green is one part of 5 pieces that make up the whole. So therefore, the 1 represents the green, which is our top number or our numerator. The 5 actually represents how many parts, again, make up the whole. The 5 being the denominator, the bottom number. Once you have that understanding, you realize that the green section of this pie chart is actually 1/5 of the whole. Fractions are understood as a set of numbers that is looked at when you separate or divide a whole into something or into parts. When you look at each part, it is the representation of what makes up the whole. For example, again, like the pie graph, it is divided into 5 parts, and each part is colored. The colored sections may represent, again, something specific, but is still what's make up the whole pie, all 5 parts. When we are doing fractions within mathematics, there are specific rules that we have to understand in order to process the problem that is displayed. The first rule is we need to have a common denominator, or the bottom number has to be alike. As you see, we have 2 fractions. One 3/4, and then we have 1/4. We're trying to do the addition of that. So we have to make sure that, again, that we have common denominators or alike numbers on the bottom. In this case, we do, which is the 4. You see that 3/4 has the 4 as a denominator, and the 1/4 has a 4 as a denominator. So we can proceed with this particular problem because we have common denominators. The second rule is when you have common denominators, you can simply add the numerators together like normal addition. In this case, we have the 3 in the 3/4 representing the numerator, the top number, and then the other fraction of 1/4, the 1 is the numerator, again, the top number. One thing you want to make sure is that you don't want to add the denominators because, again, the denominator represents what makes up the whole. So we don't want to change that. Again, the 4 being our denominator in both our fractions. So you can simply just bring the denominator into the part of your answer with it being at the bottom or staying at the bottom. Again, still being our denominator. As you see in example in rule number 4, where 3/4 plus 1/4 equals something fourths. And we're about to find out what that something could be. But again, you have to understand that the 4 is the denominator, and because we have a common denominator, it never changes in our answer. The fifth rule is once you have the denominator in your answer, you simply, again, just add the numerator together to finalize your answer. Again, we have 3/4 plus 1/4. Adding 1 and 3 together, of course, that is 4. bringing the 4 into our answer for our denominator, making the answer 4/4. 4 again being the numerator, and then the denominator also is 4. And we have just one more step. We're about done with this problem. And at the end of each problem, you want to always make sure that you reduce or simplify your answer. With having 4/4 as our answer, we want to simplify that or make it understanding clear as to what we really have. We know that we have a whole pi or whatever the fraction represents that we're working with. So therefore, 4/4 simplified is one whole, which means our answer really is 1. Well, that was a quick lesson on addition with common denominators. I want you to try a few of your own. So click the link for some problems that you can do at home. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time. Again, if you were working with this particular website, you would want to make sure that you are looking at each problem and indicating and understanding that you're working with common denominators or looking for common denominators. So again, try this at home and don't be afraid to use the skill that we just went over so that you can understand this a little bit clearer.